I'm Sharon Bill. Welcome to my Music Theory Tuition series where I work with you step by step through the ABRSM Discovering Music Theory grades. I'll work through every single exercise and explain everything you need to know. You can access information about the books I have available to help you on my website. Go to sharonbill.com. For advert-free and longer lessons, you can become a patron at patreon.com/SharonBill. If you can give me a like, that would be super, and please do subscribe to my channel to stay updated. You can support this channel by buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/SharonBill. We move on now to the woodwind and the brass families. First of all, looking at the woodwind instruments. And the highest of these is the flute in the general orchestral family, and that's just a general woodwind instrument. However, the oboe is almost as high. It's kind of in the same register, not just slightly lower in range, but this is a reed instrument. And actually it's a double reed. It's two reeds bound together. It's a beautiful sound. It's one of those instruments that's really hard to play well until you've really practiced, but then it's just absolutely sublime. Although I think reed instruments are hard to play, but perhaps that's because I'm a flute player. And then the clarinet is a single reed instrument. And the bassoon is a double reed instrument through two reeds. Now the flute is the highest, the oboe is slightly lower, the clarinet is slightly lower again, but the bassoon is bass clef for the most part. It's generally a bass clef instrument. And then we move on to the brass family. Now the trumpet is the orchestral version of the cornet. The cornet's brass bands, the trumpet is the orchestral instrument, and that's a valve instrument, and you know where you press little valves down to change your pitch. It's quite clever how it works using these just three valves to create different registers. And then the horn, that's it's sometimes called the French horn, and that's the sort of the curly one. I understand that that's quite a difficult instrument to play. Again, that's valves. And both of these use the treble clef. Now the trombone uses a slide. It's got the big long slide that sort of slides in and out. My uncle used to play the trombone actually. I think it's really clever how you can just slide up and down to get those notes. That's usually a bass clef instrument for the most part, and the tuba is definitely the lowest of them all. A great big sort of kind of up pointing opening. The trumpet is that way, whereas the tuba points that way. And that's a bass clef instrument. Again, that's valves. So that's the woodwind and the brass families. Now if we turn over the page, we get a little, there we go, we get a little bit of revision here. So let's look at exercise 2 and just think about that. So I would just do a little bit of revision and then press pause, test yourself. There's nothing for it but to just jump in and have a go. It's a bit tricky if you don't play in an orchestra because you don't see these instruments. So do take the opportunity to listen to some of these, look at some clips, and do listen to some music. You know, the clarinet concerto by Mozart is simply divine. So is his flute concerto actually. There's so many beautiful pieces. So, you know, there's so much out there. Just have a listen, or at least just look at the pictures so you can kind of internalise what these instruments look like if it is that you've not had much familiarity with them. Rather than it just being an abstract test, these are musical instruments. It's music, so listen to some music, I guess. So do jump in and test yourself. And so now let's check through these answers together. So which woodwind instrument? So woodwind particularly uses the bass clef, and that would be the bassoon. These others all use treble clef. Which is the lowest sounding brass instrument? If you work your way down, it's trumpet, horn, trombone, tuba is the lowest. Now here we can have consort. We've dealt with this already with strings, where you can kind of mute the bridge on the strings. However, consordini, which we know is with mute, can also be applied to brass, and it's basically kind of put a sock in it, and they basically shove like a bell, like a cork kind of thing, a plastic bell, into the opening, and that just sort of muffles the sound a little bit and just sort of cuts back on the striking volume. So we can mute brass instruments as well. So con is with, that's the one we're after there. And which woodwind instrument can play a higher note than the oboe? Well, the flute plays, I think, the highest of them all. So there we have the flute. We're asked to create a crossword containing the instruments and the terms that you've learnt. Write the description of the words of clues. Do you know what? By all means, go ahead and have a go of that. I think I would prefer to just look at the instruments and hear the sounds, but by all means do go ahead and create a crossword if that would help you. I hope this is helpful to your studies. Please do like and subscribe to stay updated. If you'd like to support this channel, you can buy me a coffee, and for advert-free lessons you can become a patron. Do visit my website where you'll find many resources available to help you. Visit sharonbill.com. Thanks for watching. Bye.